Hello, my name is Thomas, and today I wanted to talk about a subject that affects everybody in this world these days: batteries. So many times I see that people complain, how bad their batteries are in their phones or car batteries, any kind of batteries. And unfortunately, my experience tells me that these are all due to improper usage. So I wanted to go through briefly a few tips. If you want to listen to this only, it's fine, because the key message is going to be at the beginning of the video, and I'm going to give you some reasoning at the end. If you're interested, you can stay. The most important thing is that you really have to understand there are two main type of batteries. There are lead acid batteries, and there is kind of everything else. So lead acid batteries, we use them in cars mainly. There are some other applications as well. The tiny little 12-volt batteries, they are used in all kind of feeders, wildlife feeders, those kind of things. And then you have all the other type of batteries. Recently we have the lithium batteries. So it's very important to distinguish between these two, because you kind of use them differently. One very important thing in common with these batteries is that when you first get them, you don't start using them right away. That's a very big no-no. What you have to do is you have to go through a conditioning, or I call this a formatting period. So what that means is that that's the most important thing. Before you start using the battery, before you turn on the phone that you bought or the laptop you bought, you have to fully charge it. That's very important. And I usually like to use at least 16 hours to charge these batteries. And then now you're going to distinguish between the two types of batteries. So with car batteries, with lead acid batteries, you want to make sure you don't discharge it all the way, right? So a lead acid battery can put out a lot of power all of a sudden, but you kind of have to charge it back immediately. This is what a car charger does. Let's say you have an off-grid system. I learned this the hard way. You don't drain them all the way down, to 10% of their power or whatever. So with lead acid batteries, if you have a 12-volt battery, the nominal voltage is going to be 12.6. You don't go below 12.0 volts. If you go below that, a lot of cycles, that's going to kill the battery. So don't do that. Before you reach 12 volts, you have to recharge it. You have to remember this. So that's pretty much a normal usage, for these lead acid batteries. You draw a lot of current all of a sudden for a few seconds, and then you charge it all the way. So all the other batteries, what I do for formatting, and you have to listen very carefully here, the formatting is even more important, this conditioning cycle. So you charge your battery, you use it. The first 3 uses is very critical for these batteries. What you want to do, you want to discharge it almost completely. So you basically do the opposite what you're doing with the lead acid, right? What that means, right before the phone turns off or the laptop turns off, you actually go ahead and charge it again for another 16 hours. So you charge the battery the first time, you drain it almost all the way for 16 hours, you drain it all the way again, and then you charge it again for 16 hours, and then you can use it after that, normally. So this conditioning period is very important because it exercises the cells. One thing that people don't understand is that batteries have a memory. So let's say for this initial formatting period, you don't discharge the battery all the way. So down the road, that's going to minimize, that's going to lower the amount of power you can draw from these batteries. So this is where the explanation is coming in. This was the key message. You can skip if you want to, but you're welcome to stay. So I'm going to explain what this does. So with the formatting period, you exercise the batteries. So imagine a marathon runner, right? So how do you prepare for a marathon? You run a few marathons, right? So the batteries are, these batteries are pretty much the same. You know, you can't really expect the battery to put out all its power. You can't really expect yourself to run a marathon unless you run a few marathons or you work up for it, right? So batteries are pretty much the same thing. You have to charge it all the way, discharge it all the way for the first few cycles. And what is also very important, when you use this battery, you know, you did the formatting period of the battery, what I like to do is pretty much do the same thing. You know, every time I charge my phone, I charge it all the way. I don't just take it off the charger at 90%. When I'm using the battery, I make sure I get to at least, you know, 10% of charge before I start charging it. So basically, I take advantage of the full power of the battery, like you're running a marathon every single time you run. Chances are, you know, you're going to do great when you run a marathon. Another important thing that people don't know, every single battery is rated for a certain amount of charging cycles. Let's say lithium batteries, they are usually rated around 1,000 cycles, right? So let's say you only discharge your battery to 50%, right? So you're only using 50% of your capacitance of the battery. That means it's going to last 50% less. So if you do this 1,000 times, that means it's going to only last 50% of the total life cycle. Why do you do this? Make sure you charge your battery all the way, you discharge your battery all the way every single time. That is very important. If you do this, your battery is going to last a long time. Let's say you screwed up and you didn't do it. You have been using a battery the wrong way. So you can recondition your battery. You can actually improve this capacitance, the amount of charge it can take by, some people, they actually take these batteries and they completely drain them. They go to 0%. Basically, you can't even turn on the cell phone, or you can't even turn on your laptop. They discharge completely the battery, and then they charge it all the way for 16 hours. And you repeat this 3 times, and that's going to bring some life back into the battery. So that really helps. So every time you use the battery, just make sure you charge it all the way, you discharge it all the way. That is very important. I hope that this is going to give you some insights, and you're going to start using your batteries properly, and we make less waste as a species. If you learned anything valuable, please give me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.